Welcome to Everything Pro Wrestling. Everything Pro Wrestling is a show by the fans, for the fans. And I am your host, Conrad Cushman. And we are here today to talk about WWE 2K19. This is episode 24 of the Everything Pro Wrestling podcast. And with me today, I have a very special guest. He is a YouTuber and a video game expert. It is my brother, Cameron Matthews. He is live via Google Hangouts as we record this. So if the stuff sounds a little bit choppy, that is why. But Cam, what's going on, bro?
What's going on? How you doing?
Good. We're going to talk about some WWE 2K19 today for the Everything Pro Wrestling community. And I wanted your thoughts and opinions so far of the game overall from what you've seen and what you know about it.
Overall, usually when it comes to WWE series, I'm a little shaky about the game. So this is another year where I'm just as shaky as the rest of the years. It seems like their focus is never in a direction where I think that they should be going, even though I know I'm not the head honcho. But it really feels like there's never a real focus for the game. So we'll have to see about this year, how the gameplay plays out and how everything plays out. But that's my initial thoughts. My main thing that I'm thinking about anytime I think of this game is where's the focus?
Yeah, I could definitely agree with you on that. I thought that the marketing and promotion for this game was very weird. I felt like everything was focused on the NBA 2K brand. We saw announcements for Red Dead Redemption and different games like that. And I know that this isn't wrestling and that's not what people are here for. So this is kind of a special video. But why on earth did they have like the roster reveal so late? And I don't know, just stuff did not line up and they were missing the marks, I feel, on opportune times to take advantage of marketing this game to people who aren't sure if they're going to buy it. I don't know. Do you have any rebuttal to that about the marketing aspects of it, at least?
With it being so close to the NBA series, one thing that they could consider doing, which would be my first suggestion, is maybe thinking of another release date because of the how long that they delay the news giving up for the NBA series. It kind of feels like it is having an effect on the WWE series. Sounds like too.
Yeah, I can see that. Like, I'm looking right now on my phone via Twitter. Make sure you give us a follow at EPW Show. And you give Cam a follow at CMath716. Right now, we're looking at WWE Games Twitter, and they're talking about multi-featured things that all of your YouTubers have already explained, and they're coming out with different things for it. And it's cool. The pictures look great on it, but this is something that I would have expected to be explained by all the YouTubers at this point already. I don't know. I'm just not sure about the audience for this. I feel like there's arcade guys, there's sim guys. This community's all over the place. What do you think of the WWE Games community in that aspect?
I agree with you in that aspect as well. I'm gonna reference the NBA community a lot because same company and the communities, in my opinion, are very similar. And I have a lot more experience with the NBA community. But it feels like it's the same thing. You have a bunch of different sects of the community wanting different things, and what ends up happening is you have a mishmash of stuff in every community, and no community is happy because of how little attention is being put into all aspects of the game. So there's a little bit of arcade, a little bit of sim, a little bit of online stuff, and in my opinion, that a little bit of my career, you can say, but in my opinion, that's not the way to go, because without it being a main focus, none of those sects are happy within the community. You end up having a overall unsatisfied community.
I can agree with that. Let's talk about what we've learned from the YouTubers, at least from this game. From what I'm seeing, the new menus look great. They look like they kind of went with like this sleek um, Thanos type of menu if you want to look at it. A lot of people will see like AJ Styles flying through the air, but he's got like particles of him breaking off. Different things like that. So I think that's something that's pretty cool. And another thing I noticed was the lighting on the superstars still seems to make a big difference in it. I think that the superstars look great just because of the lighting, and you don't really realize that just from, I don't know, the initial thoughts of the game. Like when I first saw it, I'm like, oh, it kind of looks similar to last year's. But then once I started seeing it in action, once they started releasing that footage, I felt that the gameplay looked much better. I mean, like the character models looked much better, especially the females. I thought they did a great job improving that as well. Anything from you on that?
Um, to be honest, I haven't been able to check out much of the gameplay, but that's something, or the lighting and stuff, but that's something that 2K always nails on the head. For the most part, on a year-to-year basis, they always try to make the skin tones, skin complexions look a lot more realistic. Even if the actual graphics aren't changing, they usually the player models and the skin tone and everything about the superstars players look a lot better.
And I mean, I just from a visual standpoint, 2K has never looked bad, in my opinion, since they've taken it over. That is one of the things that they have done tremendous at. My issues start stemming from our next section, which will be gameplay. Let's look at frame rates. Last year for 2K18, the frame rates were absolutely horrible, in my opinion. And I felt that that was something they could improve on. Well, it looks like now when there are more than 6 competitors in the ring, frame rates have been improved. And everyone in the YouTube community has confirmed that, yes, the frame rates have been improved. Everything felt smooth, including Royal Rumbles. There are no frame rate issues that they saw from the demo they played.
Yeah, that's definitely something that is huge. With games like Fire Pro, where you can have so many wrestlers in the ring, obviously it's a 2D game and um, it's a lot more accessible to do things like that. That's something that's huge that a lot of people have been asking for years and years and years. They want 8 people in the ring, and I think overall everyone can agree if they can't do it correct, then don't do it at all. So it's good that they were able to clean up those frame rate issues.
Yeah, another thing I'm seeing here, and I'm using Brian Mazik's article if you want to look him up on Forbes. He talks sports, video games. Definitely a good guy. I've had him on my YouTube channel before, so make sure you give him a follow at Unique Mazik on Twitter. He says the game is harder as well. Now, I don't know how hard that's going to be for people who are experts at the game. That may be a question that we would have to ask somebody who plays all the time. But he says the game is harder and the AI seems to be playing a little bit smarter this year. And I hope that's something that they've worked on because AI has always been a big issue, in my opinion.
I agree. Same here with me. That's one of the things that I think separates that could separate this game from a Fire Pro, because if you're able to have superstars fight like themselves and the AI superstars really take on the personalities of those superstars, then you're cooking. They're cooking.
Yeah. They also redid the Hell in a Cell and cage matches. And I think that goes back to the feedback that they were asking for earlier in the year, where they were asking what match types you want to see improved. And I think it looks like Hell in a Cell and the steel cage match must have won.
Both. Oh,
No,
sorry.
no, go ahead.
I'll say I feel like the specialty matches, you can always have an improvement to those. So it's good that they finally got an improvement this year. So that's good.
Yeah, so it looks like you can enter and exit the cage in various ways. There's a lot of new functionality put into the game. New structure, fighting on top of the cage, breaking out through the Hell in a Cell different ways. So it looks like things are pretty cool for that. we'll see what happens with it. We also have paybacks. Now, these are basically like enhanced reversals and different ways to change the momentum in a match. And they have a bunch of different things in there, and it could be simple things like getting a reversal for a minor grapple, or you could have it where you're going to hit someone with brass knuckles in the middle of the match, but if you get caught, you'll get disqualified. There's a lot of different things in there. What do you think of adding different things like that?
If done correctly, I think this can be one of the groundbreaking features that they added into the game. But if it's something that can be overpowered and overused, because one of the things that I think that 2K struggles with is, again, talking about their fan base, they'll add something into the game, but not think of it from a whole perspective. Like, how is this going to affect people who play online, offline, and all different aspects of the game. So if this is something that this is something that can really be, utilized and be done fairly, I think it could be something that's groundbreaking.
Yeah, I hope it's done fairly, because that's a very good point that you bring up about things not working properly and how certain things do affect other modes. And I wish that was something that they would think about, versus this is going to be really fun for exhibition, versus what's going to happen when we're online and some guy is figuring out a way to cheese somebody doing something else. And cheese means like glitches and different things, or taking advantage of something in the game, if you're not familiar. And what do you think of big head mode being brought back to the games? We haven't seen that probably since WCW Nitro, maybe? It's been a while.
Right. This is something that's I know that I won't be personally utilizing, but for the kids out there or the people who are a fan of big head mode, people who like the arcadey fun type of stuff, want to make a funny video here and there. I think it could be, it's cool that they're adding modes into the game, but they have to think about like how often is this mode going to be used and who's going to be utilizing this mode. And if it's at the cost of something else, I know that there's going to be a lot of people, including myself, who aren't too fond of having big head mode into the game.
And shout out to all the COG creators out there. I'm going to just barely touch Creation Suite. If you guys want to hear more about that, you should check out Defract CAWS. He had all the information about what you guys can do as creators. I am not a creator on there. I'm not going to lie. I'm the dude who downloads all of it and gives you guys the thumbs up rating. I appreciate anyone who downloads, or I'm sorry, not downloads, who creates anything we could use in the community, from arenas to cause to title belts, whatever it may be. So big thank you to those guys. And I think that 2K needs to bring more of those people out to those type of events so that they can give their feedback, because I don't know if they're heard as much. So I'm not going to really touch on that too much. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was we've had private conversations about this. What do you think of showcase mode? Because I see the good and the bad in showcase mode, and I wanted your thoughts.
I will continue to say this. I feel like showcase mode is a waste of a mode. I understand it's like a easy fix. Like it's something that you're always gonna have a bunch of people play, something that they can rack up the trophies and stuff. They can relive the mode and all that good stuff. But my only issue with it is after that year's time, a lot of that stuff is removed from the game, and it's kind of like you put all this effort into this one mode, new commentary, which has been a huge issue for WWE. Certain match types are in specifically that mode that aren't in the game. Certain animations and just a bunch of things that really are cool things inside of the mode, but outside of the mode, you can't touch those things at all. So it's a little frustrating on a year-to-year basis how they can put so much effort in a showcase, but the actual gameplay doesn't, and the actual commentary and those actual aspects of the gameplay don't really see that same love and upgrade. When if they just touch the gameplay and the modes outside of the showcase and built on that, by this time they can have one of the better or the best um, commentary teams within the game.
Yeah, I think the commentary team thing, that's going to go back to, they need to possibly go the route of Madden and have two guys who aren't as popular doing it to get the most out of it, but you would need someone more dedicated to it. And that's neither here nor there. I know that they want those sound clips like WWE has, so maybe it's going to work this year. I hope it's better. Parts of it sound better, but some of it sounds the same too. And back to the showcase mode, I agree with you. The first thing I think of when I see this Daniel Bryan showcase mode is that I'm a huge Daniel Bryan fan, and you know that. And when I see Daniel Bryan in this game, I think of certain things like, okay, so he's got the match with John Cena where Triple H was the special guest referee, right? Why is that match going to be played, but there's no special guest referee match in the game? We spent all this time putting animations in for matches that I already know, that I already lived through, and we could have put a different game mode in or worked on something else. That's how I see it. Or we could have had War Games match in, but instead we got Big Head mode in. And those are going to be the things that 2K is going to have to hear criticism about, because that's what fans are going to first go to.
Correct, yeah. And same thing for any missing superstars. Even though they're not in the same genre, they're going to be thinking, like, if we can get, Big Head mode, where are these specific superstars that I'm looking for as well?
And that's something I was going to save towards the end, because we're almost through here. But we got two more subjects to talk about really quickly. And the first subject I wanted to bring up was the My Career. It looks like they went the road to WrestleMania route, and they had somebody write an actual story for your My Career guy and have him start out in the indies. Now, I know in NBA, you're not the biggest My Career fan from your YouTube videos. What do you think of My Career for WWE, though, doing this?
This is something that they can capitalize on, and they really need to capitalize on the My Career route. In my opinion, the easiest direction that they can go, and I think that's going to capture the most traction, is to go to My Career route. If they really invest in the My Career, in something that's compelling, that's fun, where people can, have fun both online and offline, I think this can be a real hit. Like, who doesn't want to, who doesn't want to be a WWE superstar when it comes to the WWE games? I think it's something that could really be a huge focus, and they can really capitalize on.
The WWE is the major leagues of wrestling, basically. That's how I see it. So it's pretty cool. So here's the difference. So there's only one complaint that I have about it this year, and they have the Bray Wyatt stuff and all that. That's cool. I really don't want to even look at it too much because I don't want to ruin the story for myself. But one thing that I do still want to see is a female My Career mode. And I'm not the biggest, like, oh, I'm going to utilize that feature and everything, but I think fans deserve it because they're having this whole women's revolution, and they're having the Evolution pay-per-view coming up. And I think with all that focus being on the women's division, they need to have something representing them in the game besides just the Royal Rumble. I mean, that's cool. I'm happy that we have that. Don't get me wrong. But I want a My Career for the females too.
To be honest, I think that's gonna be that they want to introduce that until I think Ronda Rousey is a star, like a star, like the top of the women's division. Because I think that would be a huge selling point. She's pretty decent on the mic. In terms of talking to the crowd, they could just really build the story around her, I feel.
I like that. That's a good point. I still think it's time though, so hopefully they take that as feedback if anyone from 2K listens to this. And what was the next thing I wanted to talk about here? Oh, Universe Mode. Universe Mode has some small improvements inside of it. Basically, little things that you can do, including letting someone hold the briefcase. Money in the Bank briefcase is now treated like a title. I think that's the way it should have been for a long time. You have the men's Money in the Bank briefcase, the women's Money in the Bank briefcase. They've allowed more championships to be held in for a show on Universe Mode. If you are going to sim a match, you can decide who wins if it's going to mess up your booking. There's a lot of little things. So very cool. We did not touch on Road to Glory. We don't know too much. We know we have loot packs now versus what did we have last year? Loot cases.
The crates, yeah.
Yeah. And we have the towers mode as well. And I know I just went over a lot of different things. The tower mode is like the Mortal Kombat mode, and that's the way you could face AJ Styles for the $1 million. So that's going to be something that everyone needs to pay attention to the rules on if you are trying to win that $1 million. So, Cam, did you have anything you wanted to say about those three modes?
A huge upgrade to Universe, that you can now simulate who wins the match now. That was one of my complaints from last year. So that is something that's real big, and just the overall continued upgrades in Universe mode. I think it's quietly one of the more popular modes in the game. So it's cool that they got those little upgrades. The Towers mode, I'm not really too familiar with, but I think that's another cool addition to the game. But at this point, I think WWE needs to just continue to add things into the game, because for the past years, it's felt like after you got your initial play, it's like, well, what am I going to do now, kind of a thing. So it's cool that they're starting to add all these additions into the game. And the Road to Glory, I think that was a good addition as well. That just the idea needs to be expanded upon, but I do think Road to Glory was also a great addition to the game as well.
Yes. Online, no one could play online, so we don't know how that's going to work or if it's better. Judging by the NBA series, it looks like it's going to be better if we go based on that. I felt NBA didn't have too many online issues from the get-go, but I hope we get to see the same thing with WWE.
Correct. The only thing I will say about Road to Glory, though, is hopefully they make the challenges within the match a little bit more tangible, I guess I'll say.
Yeah. And I think Road to Glory also needs better how do I want to put this? They need better like rewards. Like, why can't we get superstars over masks that I don't care about? I would rather get like a Jeff Jarrett or whatever. And I guess this is the perfect time for my rant. Road to Glory, better rewards and things that people actually care about. If they're going to go this route with the loot packs or whatever, people aren't going to care about the loot packs if they're just call moves and everything else and call parts that I already have access to in the game. Like, okay, I don't care. I'm not going to pay for that. That's just me talking, though. I don't know if other people would, but I don't think WWE's working as far as a pay to win game. I don't know. I just don't see it working.
I agree. Yeah, that's especially if the moves aren't going to, if it's just like a visual thing, like, okay, I'd rather have a clothesline than a body slam, and they both have the same amount of damage, I don't see why someone would pay for one over the other.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they've got the wrong mindset for this right now with how they're going into it. And my last rant about the Tommaso Ciampa, Nikki Cross, Brian Kendrick thing. I don't understand how they're not in the game. I mean, we knew from Tommaso Ciampa turning on Johnny Gargano that this was leading to something. So I don't see how he's not in the game. Nikki Cross has been featured all year, so how she missed the cut, nobody knows. And Brian Kendrick was only hurt for a little bit of time, so how did he miss the cut? And we still don't have Jeff Jarrett or any of the guys from the Hall of Fame. And I get maybe their contracts ran out as legends, whatever. Those situations are built on relationships and everything else within the WWE. But I want to know how this roster missed out on several key players, in my opinion. I don't know. I just think it's a big blunder on their part. And that was what initially hurt my care for this game. But then they showed great gameplay and I got back into it. And I'm going to say probably within the next week, I'm going to pre-order the digital deluxe version. But I want to hear your thoughts on the roster and everything else before we wrap up the show.
Yeah, with the roster, that's one thing that is very tricky that they always have to capitalize on, because when you do have situations where you have 3 and 4 characters, but they're missing a key player, you're always going to have people question that. Like you have, 97 and 98 Shawn Michaels, but we're missing, Tommaso Ciampa and the other characters that you mentioned. And it's just, like I understand, like you're trying to please everyone, like you want the old characters in the game, or the legend characters, the classic characters in the game, but you also have to think about these main guys who are making a name for themselves on NXT, and you're trying to build NXT as a credible brand, which they have done a great job with, but that has to also translate in to the WWE video game as well.
Let me ask you this. Do you think those people are definitely out of the game? I know some people have speculated they're definitely out. Some people have said, no, they got to have them in somewhere. They're hidden. Some people are saying, me included, I think that you could put them in another mode and have them be unlocked later.
Yeah, now that's something that I think that would be pretty cool. And I think that's one of the things that I'm missing within this game is the ability to, the hidden ability. Like that was one of the best things about some of the classic wrestling games, where you are just playing something random like survival, and then you look through your characters and you have a Vince McMahon, or you have like one of those characters like, oh, I don't remember him when the game released or purchasing him in the store. So I think that would be something that they could really capitalize and utilize. The only thing is you would have to be able to grab these characters throughout the game in every mode. Like I think that's the one thing that they would have to make sure that they do, that you can get all the characters within every mode. But that's something that definitely they can utilize. So, we don't know if they're in or out of the game yet, but that's something that would be very cool. Or if they came a DLC pack later in the year, like a special DLC pack, that'd be pretty cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, as far as DLC goes, the DLC looks phenomenal. They're going to have EC3, the War Raiders, Bobby Lashley. We saw Ricochet, several female talents who you didn't think were going to make it, like Dakota Kai, several others. I'm not going to get into all the DLC. You guys can look that up. But overall, I'm going to say this. This is the first year where I'm coming in wondering about some things, and I wish that we could see more about online and online improvements. I've been begging for online leagues for so long that I don't know, maybe I should just give up on it. But that is something that I would love to see in the game and different things like that. And overall, I'm excited for the game, but I'm not as excited as I've been in years past. So I'm going in with my guard up, and I'm hoping that I can put the guard down, have some fun, and enjoy the game, because it looks like what they tried to do is bring back the fun, and that's something I can appreciate. What about you, Cam?
Yeah, I can agree with that as well. Because I am not the biggest fan of the WWE and the WWE games, I would consider myself more of a casual. I'm a little bit more optimistic because just every time a new game comes out, you always want to see what's new about it, the features on it. So I'm definitely probably a little bit more excited, and my guard's a little bit more down. But you never know, it's a WWE series, and how 2K presents it. So I'm not surprised that you do have your guard up.
Well, that's going to be it for this episode of Everything Pro Wrestling. Do me a favor, guys. Make sure you subscribe. We are on Apple Podcast, Anchor, Spotify, and Stitcher. So however you're listening to this podcast, if you like it, subscribe, send me some feedback. Tell me what you think of the podcast and what you think of WWE 2K19. And as far as my guest, Cameron Matthews, Cameron, give them a shout out and tell them where they can find you and some of your content on YouTube.
Shout out to all of my subscribers on YouTube, everyone who follows me on all my other social medias. You can find me on YouTube at KC Classic 7, all one word. You can find me also on social media, Twitter at CMAT716. And that's where you can find me.
Guys, do me a favor and make sure you check it out. And last week's episode, big special thank you to Aaron and Gerald, who took part in a discussion that WWE randomly had a video come out for about which era was better between the Attitude Era and the current era. And that's something you could debate all day. But as I said in the end, why can't you like both? So if you guys have enjoyed the content, once again, make sure you check it out. I will be back next week with the WWE Super Showdown preview and prediction show. So make sure you keep it locked in here to find out the latest on that. Thank you guys so much for listening to the Everything Pro Wrestling Show. We are out. Peace.